AITA for the reasons why we walked away from an adoption. I'm 32F. My wife is 29 MTF trans. We have been together for 10 years, married 5, and have been trying very hard to start a family. Our hearts are pretty set on adoption. I will try to make this as simple as possible. 4 months ago we were virtually introduced to an expectant 17 years old. She wants to go to college and was looking for an open adoption, which we agreed to, and a week later we were told she picked us. Due to COVID it would not be smart to meet in real life, but she texted us nearly every day letting us know how she felt and emailed ultrasounds after each new one. The due date is in late March, so we had to take care of the paperwork, and whenever we called to discuss or ask when a good time was, she dodged us, which in hindsight should have been a red flag, until one time her mother picked up to speak on her daughter's behalf and basically asked us how much custody they were entitled to after the baby was born. The girl wants us to raise the baby until she is finished college and gets married. This broke our hearts entirely. We knew the gender, picked out names for when she is born, and just finished the nursery, and they wanted us to be babysitters for 10 years. This is what the mother told her adoption was for. It was a very long call that ended with me stating that we cannot come to an agreement if the girl and her boyfriend do not sign parental rights away. We want to be legal parents, not free babysitters. So I regretted to inform them that we would be backing out. The mother called me back begging to reconsider because they cannot afford a baby, but I told her to find other arrangements. The agency we worked with was not happy with the sob story the girl told them, so needless to say we would not be returning to their service. My wife and I are so upset and numb, but I cannot help but feel guilty. My wife's parents have been so kind and understanding throughout. This wife is adopted, and they had more than one adoption fall through before Wiffy was born. But now that there is no new grandbaby, my mother is practically hysterical. My sister has 2 sons and this was supposed to be the first granddaughter, so she is taking it really hard. My sister thinks she is way out of line, but my mother has mentioned to me several times that the arrangement the girl wanted was not entirely outrageous. She does not see how wrong and heartbreaking it is for a complete stranger to expect us to raise her child for her until she is ready to assume responsibility. It has been almost a month since we backed off, and the girl's father contacted us to scold us for putting them in such a tight spot. They are reconsidering our previous offer, but we are extremely skeptical that this will work out. Wife and I want to move on. We are even looking into LGBT friendly agencies. Are we the assholes for walking away from this adoption, but also for doing so a second time? NTA, you can lend babies to someone else. You are totally in the right here. If they come back and offer a proper adoption, it would be okay to reconsider, but only if you make sure your legal rights are properly dealt with. Good luck. Already looked up lawyers. Not sure how far it would go, but we do not really want to deal with them without one, if they are actually serious. Also, what kind of shit agency is this that they bought a story? Can you report their services somehow? Did they know about this setup by any chance? Because this is not what adoption means. And if they think it does, they should not be doing this work. I'm so sorry you guys had to go through this. NTA at all. NTA, it appears the girl and her family do not know the meaning of adoption. It is only normal that you backed out once you discovered this would not actually even be a real adoption at all. They are probably thinking more of foster care. They are also not thinking about the kid, which makes them even bigger. I feel for this couple. NTA. That's what I thought too. It's an easy NTA, and anyone telling you otherwise doesn't understand the difference between fostering and adoption. You signed up for the latter, and no one should be hard on you for not accepting it when the mom basically pitched you the former. So NTA, sorry you had to go through that. I do not understand how anyone can think that would have been a healthy situation for anyone involved. Were they just going to rip the girl away from the only parents she ever knew because her biological mom was now ready to assume the responsibility? Talk about traumatizing. I hope you will be able to adopt very soon. Good luck. Absolutely NTA. They are the ones who are assholes, especially for giving out these news after you got so invested. And they cannot just expect to have free babysitters for some years while they sort their life out. It is not fair for either of you nor the child. NTA, you did not put them in a tight spot, they went there themselves. It is ridiculous that they thought they could make you babysitters for a decade until she decided she wanted the kid back. I'm so sorry this happened. NTA, I'm so ducking horrified with the way that people discuss babies. Raise the baby for 10 years and give her back. This is a human being, not a ducking sack of potatoes. You cannot just pitch them back and forth between families and hope for the best. NTA, I do not know about the US. In my country, arrangements like that are made with foster families, not with adoptive parents. I'm sorry you had to go through this, but you know for whom this arrangement would have sucked even more. The poor kid. You were absolutely right to walk away. I hope you will find your third family member soon. NTA, you are totally right to walk away. She should not have put the child up for adoption. If the reality was she only wanted someone to do the hard work and then get the child back, as if it never happened. Also, how effed up is she to even consider doing this, as the psychological damage to the child would be immense when she would be ripped away from her parents to go back to her birth parents, run from her, and don't look back. Edit, thank you for the silver kind internet stranger, and the helpful award, and the wholesome award. I'm not worthy. NTA, I agree with all the other posters, but I just wanted to add as an adoptee myself, the scenario the birth mother is presenting would have majorly f-ked with my head. I consider adoption something that involves so much love from my birth parents for realizing that they could not give me the life I deserved. Love from my parents for going through the stressful adoption process. Love from my extended family who from day one looked at me as their own and supported my parents. If after all that love was poured into me being with my family and I was ripped from them at 10 years old, I honestly do not think I emotionally would have ever recovered. By 10. You are that girl's parents, and I highly doubt she is going to be receptive to someone trying to take her away from her parents. That is just going to cause so much pain and confusion down the line. I'm so sorry for you loss, because this is a true loss, but you and your wife made the right decision. There will be another child out there for you, and given the kind of thought, love, and empathy you and your wife have put into this process so far, I know you will make wonderful parents whenever that child comes along. NTA at all. I am not even sure what the girl's family is doing is even legal at all. If they don't stop, honestly keep track of everything and get restraining order. An adoption is an adoption, not babysitting. I am pretty sure in an adoption the BO parents are supposed to give up their parental rights. The rest of your family is probably just grieving and can see things properly. They are also not in the same position as you and don't even understand what you're going through. Just stand your ground. NTA, I'm so sorry this happened to you. Everyone around you seems to not be thinking about the adoptee. The child is most important. 10 years will create a significant bond and cement you both as the parents in the child's mind. To then rip her away from you to just be handed back whenever her birth mother is ready would be extremely traumatic. There is a reason why adoptions, even open adoptions, mean the birth parents terminate their parental rights. If you have done anything wrong, it is for thinking that you are backing out or walking away. It is not you. It is the girl and her family who are doing that. You have been open and honest about what you want, and they have been dishonest and misleading. They put themselves in a tight spot by attempting to manipulate you through your emotions. Shame on them. You are NTA all day long. I hope it works out with another agency, because I would be very wary of having any kind of relationship with people like this. NTA. And this is completely weird. No one involved, including you, to some extent, but I'm sure you have thought about it. Even if you have not mentioned it here, seems to be considering what this means for the child. Surely it cannot be reasonable to expect someone to raise a child like their own for a decade and then just hand them back like they did least them or something. The girl and her parents are not looking at this right, and neither is your mom. The process has not been transparent. You have been misled, and this suggests that communication has been poor all round. The agency had a lot to answer for here. Why is the stability of the child's life and circumstances not being put front and center? And incidentally, the mom if the pregnant girl whining that they cannot afford a baby is pretty low. Given that the fact of the pregnancy has absolutely nothing to do with you, and the family has the nerve to think they can have the child back when the difficult bit is over. This is not what adoption is for, and I'd be very reluctant to enter into an open adoption with such a family. I think your idea of looking for a better agency is a good one. Sorry you are dealing with this. I'm also appalled that the girl's father is blaming op and significant other for putting them in a tight spot. They did this to themselves by putting off the paperwork until the last minute to try to force an agreement to absurd terms. NTA, a heartbreaking situation. I can't even begin to imagine how you guys feel. And I feel for the 17 years old too, but it's on her and her family for not being upfront about what they want out of the adoption. They can't expect someone to be okay with raising a child for 10 years and then just give that child up. Also, she seems to not consider that the child will have a say in it too unless there was visitations, so the child knows their birth mum parents. I'd imagine it would be an extremely hard transition for the child themselves too if they've been raised by a completely different family. Best of luck to you both though. I feel as if you will both be amazing parents. Info: I'm confused. Why didn't you talk to the agency or your lawyer before backing out? Cause that's just not how adoptions work. Open or otherwise, the parents have to sign overall parental rights for an adoption, and it's up to the adoptive parents how and when they see the birth family. She doesn't get to just lend the baby for 10 years and come back. That's why there's court involved to ensure that birth parents don't do that. Seeing as they need the baby to be adopted, it's not like they have much choice. They can try and make those demands, but it's not gonna work. Adoption is all or nothing. No adoption is legal until after the awaiting period after birth. At this point they do not have a leg to stand on. Even if they were to change their mind and offer a reasonable plan at this point, I would still not do it. They could still back out after the baby is born. And even after the waiting period is done, they could make your life heck 4 years in court. It is clear that they are not actually committed to an adoption plan and really just want someone to bail them out of a tight spot. I agree. Op should just cut her losses and try again with a different family. I would not trust this one after everything. There is no doubt they did be dragging Op to courts constantly in the future, and why would you want that drama in your life when you can easily avoid it? I have not adopted, but I do have one child, and his father's always bringing me into court for stupid reasons the last 5 years and never fully commits. So trust me, you really do not need that in your life. NTA, what they want is not adoption, and I cannot understand how an agency cannot clear these things up with the birth mother beforehand. The agency did a really bad job. The girl is young and naive. The parents apparently stupid or ignorant, and your own mother just heartbroken. In my opinion, you did the only right thing by walking away from the girl's inappropriate demands and an incompetent agency. This would have ended in a disaster. NTA, I would not be able to raise a dog for a few years and then give it back. It would tear me apart. And we are talking about a child. You would love that child unconditionally, just to have someone have it back when they are financially stable. It is not a toy. You made a good decision backing up. I'm almost 100% sure that you would never recover from this. Maybe you would even blame yourselves for everything. I'm sorry it turned out that way, but I think you have to keep searching, and I hope you find your baby-shaped happiness very soon. NTA. 1. It is for sure a ridiculous arrangement that girl expected, especially since it sounds like she wanted to spring it on you instead of coming to a mutual agreement about it. Just wow. 2. She put herself into this position by expecting you to be temporary parents. I can see where she got her shitty attitude from. Her parents sound like gems. 3. Your mom needs to get therapy to control what is an unreasonable emotional response to your in-laws. No, a regular part of the adoption process. Sometimes they fall through until one doesn't. It's hard to deal with, but being in hysterics is not a healthy reaction. 4. You did the right thing avoiding what would have been a nightmare not only for you and your wife, but your potential future child. Can you imagine how terrible it would be to spend potentially the rest of your child's life being manipulated by her birth family? Or how psychologically damaging it might be to a child when they reach 10 and birth mom launches a custody battle? Nope. Wait for a healthier situation. One will come along for you. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.